The fallout continues from the washed-out Belgian Grand Prix, while there's no announcement from Mercedes. You can now watch full 24-minute episodes of The Inside Line at our official home on unbeaten.com. Belgium was the low point of F1's 2021 season, with the race washed out and 2 laps completed behind the safety car for the result to be classified and half points awarded. But F1 CEO Stefano Domenicali has controversially stated there was no commercial obligation for the limited laps. F1 has now run 12 events, with 15 needed to appease broadcaster contracts. But while the drivers said Belgium wasn't a race, the sports CEO said weather can't be predicted and that F1 would be paid regardless of a classified finish. Absolutely, Domenicali said. That's why I said to consider that as something related to a commercial implication is wrong. FIA race director Michael Massey said there was no ability to run the race on the following Monday, with the sports chiefs using special provisions in the International Sporting Code to wait for better weather. Unfortunately, on this occasion, we could not go the full distance that was available, but with the provisions to stop the clock is what we tried to do to see if we could get ourselves in that weather window of some activity, he said. Mercedes could take weeks to announce who will be Sir Lewis Hamilton's teammate next season, with both candidates, Valtteri Bottas and George Russell, tight-lipped in Belgium on future plans. Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff previously stated that a final decision was made during F1's summer break, but there was no update at Spa, with news yet to come on Kimi Räikkönen's future. And Bottas enjoyed playing games with the media in Belgium on what is undoubtedly the sport's hottest story right now. Who knows? Maybe I know something, maybe I don't. But like I said, there's no news to share, he said. Red Bull Racing broke the biggest news in Belgium in confirming Sergio Perez for 2022, alongside its top gun Max Verstappen. Perez joined Red Bull this year, his 11th in F1, for his first top team shot since McLaren in 2013, and has impressed the squad with his expertise, not just in tyre management, but Mercedes power. And the Mexican, who has said his RB16B is in another league to cars he's previously driven, says it was a no-brainer to re-sign.
It's very good, very excited to be able to continue my journey with this great team, and it's a massive opportunity for myself, so looking forward to it, and I really hope that I can put more trophies into this one.
Across the first 12 events, Verstappen has a steel strength advantage. In qualifying, it's 11-1 and races 8-1 when they could be compared, with 6 wins to 1 and a 95.5-point gap in the standings. Perez's victory came at this year's Azerbaijan Grand Prix. The formalities have finally been taken care of at Alpine, with 2-time F1 World Champion Fernando Alonso confirmed for 2022. Alonso, who made his F1 comeback this year, was originally signed on as a so-called 1+1 contract, with an option for next season, which has now been taken up by the French Merc. Alonso said that he and the team are happy with his comeback, but didn't rule out future attempts at the Indy 500 for the Triple Crown. Right now, my main focus is here. My full dedication is to the F1 project, especially with the new rules and all the work we will have to do for next year. In the future, I will see, he said. Alonso notched up his 323rd F1 start in Belgium, making him second on the all-time list, ahead of Brazilian Rubens Barrichello. Circuit designer Jarno Zeffeli, who spearheaded track changes to Zandvoort ahead of this week's Dutch Grand Prix, says the updates were created to punish the world's best drivers. F1 returns to Zandvoort this week for the first time since 1985, with the headline changes banking turns 3 and 14, the flat-out final corner, to extend the straight and provide better passing.
we are relying on the human behaviors instead of relying on the car performance or the motorbike performance. We are looking into design in a different way. We want the drivers and the rider to fail, to make mistakes. It's a different way as an approach.
Zaffelli also hopes the upgrades create an emotional driving experience and forces a rethink of modern Formula One track design.
And I hope that this feeling will help to show that it's possible to have Formula One in a circuit that on the paper is small, is tiny, is cozy, is short for Formula One. But I think that has the potential to deliver something really interesting. Let's see.
The US Grand Prix organizers have been given the green light to host F1, finally paving the way for the sport to lock in its return to the Americas for the first time since 2019, pre-COVID-19. The American Grand Prix is scheduled for October 24, but rising cases in Austin initially put the race under a cloud, one that's since been cleared. Austin Mayor Steve Adler, however, said last week he was confident the event was set to go, with the city focused on living with COVID-19 and planning on how to deliver big events safely. I think the Delta virus is going to be with us for a while, Adler said. It's not an option to close back up cities in the way they had closed in the past. The calendar will now have 22 rounds, with Japan not replaced. Turkey is now ahead of the US Grand Prix, with Mexico, Brazil, and a TBC, thought to be Qatar, forming the final triple header this season. Daniel Ricciardo, who notched up 200 F1 starts in Belgium last weekend, has opened up on his maiden race at the 2011 British Grand Prix, stating he found the paddock intimidating. Ricciardo made his F1 debut with now defunct squad HRT at Silverstone, the 9th stop on 2011's 19-round calendar, but told the Australian Grand Prix podcast In the Fast Lane it wasn't easy to come in and feel relaxed with just 1 week's notice.
I won't lie, I was intimidated by being there. You know, I was excited, and yes, I believed in myself. Like, I knew I didn't just get put there for the sake of being put there. But yeah, as you say, like, you've got all these world champions on the grid, and now you're part of those, 22 at the time. Pretty wild.
The British event was a baptism of fire for Ricciardo, with the Australian unexpectedly upgraded from Toro Rosso test driver. But there was a lot to learn in a short space of time.
Seat fit, trying to learn the team, and then I think it was wet as well, so we're qualifying in the rain, and it was a lot. I don't think I'd driven on Pirellis yet either, so it's my first time on Pirellis, which were very different from the Bridgestones that I had tried, so there was a lot going on. Yeah, a lot.
Two-time World Rally champion Carlos Sainz Sr. has hailed his son's performance so far at Ferrari, with the veteran Spaniard expecting more progress in the season's second half. Sainz Jr. joined Ferrari this year following 2 seasons with McLaren and was immediately competitive with 2 podiums scored at tight and twisty tracks Monaco and Hungary.
I think he must be proud. I think he's doing a good job. Obviously, I think the second half of the year must be a continuation or even better of what he has been achieving, because he knows a little bit better the team.
Sainz also spoke about the path forward for his son in adapting further to the Scuderia's car, the SF21, and team procedures.
He knows a little bit better the car, what he needs, what he wants. You know, every car is different. You need certain period to know, to extract the maximum of the car, and I'm sure every race he has been learning, but in general, I think he's doing a really good job.
Former Grand Prix driver Bertrand Gachot has revealed that the first time he heard Michael Schumacher had replaced him at Jordan was when he was in jail for a pepper spray attack. Gachot was put behind bars ahead of the 1991 Belgian Grand Prix 30 years ago for attacking a London taxi driver. But the Frenchman told F1's official podcast Beyond the Grid that it was actually a prison warden who mercilessly broke the news to him of Schumi's debut.
The first time somebody spoke to me about Michael Schumacher, again, I won't forget, he's one of the guards in jail. And he said, the new guy that they hired is so good they don't need you anymore, so you can stay here. I tell you, word for word.
Gachot returned to the Formula One paddock 2 months later in Japan, where Schumacher approached him to clear the air.
He said, Bertram, I want to say, I'm really sorry for what happened. It was not right, and anything I can do. And since that day, we became really good friends, really.
Thanks for watching. To stay up to speed on all things Formula One, make sure you hit the subscribe button.